You are sitting there looking at a screen. Maybe you have been hovering around $20,000 to $40,000 in savings for what feels like a lifetime. Or maybe you finally crossed that line, you reached around $70,000 invested, and suddenly everything just slowed down. You are earning more than you ever have in your entire life. You are trying to be responsible, yet somehow you aren't moving forward financially. The progress feels stalled. My name is Tom, and I spend way too much time thinking about the strange psychology of wealth and why our money rarely behaves the way we expect it to. If you're someone who feels like you are doing everything right but still running a race with no finish line, consider subscribing if this video helps. Here's what's actually happening. There is this deeply ingrained idea in our culture that the day you retire is the day you hit your absolute peak net worth. The assumption is incredibly simple. You work for 40 years, you build a massive pile of money, and then for the rest of your life, you slowly and carefully chip away at that pile until the pile is gone, or until you are. It makes logical sense on paper, but it completely ignores the reality of what actually happens to most people who prepare adequately for their future. Often, people actually get richer after they stop working, and it is not just because of the math. It is because the entire financial and psychological ecosystem around you changes the exact moment you stop trading your time for a paycheck. Let's break this down. During your working years, you are operating under an income ceiling, but more importantly, you are operating under a time ceiling. You are trading your most valuable asset, which is your time, for dollars. Think about what it actually costs you just to hold a job. Let's say you're earning $80,000 a year. That feels like a solid number, but immediately you have the heavy friction of taxes. Federal taxes, state taxes, payroll taxes. Then you have the invisible creeping costs of trading your time. When you work 40 or 50 hours a week, you have a massive deficit of time, which means you are constantly forced to buy convenience. You buy the $7 coffee because you are chronically tired. You spend $15 on a mediocre lunch because you simply did not have the mental energy to meal prep the night before. You pay for a premium gym membership because it happens to be closer to the office. You pay for dry cleaning, commuting costs, gas, maintenance, and perhaps even a second car just to ensure you can physically get to work. Now, look at what happens when that stops. Let's say you retire. You no longer need to generate that $80,000 in gross income just to maintain your baseline lifestyle. If you pull $60,000 from a combination of Roth accounts and long-term capital gains, your actual tax burden might drop to zero or incredibly close to it. You no longer have a daily commute. You no longer buy convenience because you finally have the time to cook, to walk, to manage your own life at a human pace. The sheer cost of existing drops drastically. This means the withdrawal rate you actually need to survive is far lower than the gross income you needed while you were an employee. Your outflow efficiency skyrockets. You have probably heard the classic financial advice to just cut out coffee and you will be rich. Or the equally unhelpful mantra to just invest and forget about it. These ideas sound great on a spreadsheet, but they completely ignore the psychological weight of the accumulation phase. When you are exhausted from working, cutting out a simple pleasure like coffee feels like a punishment. It feels like deprivation. But in retirement, brewing coffee at home is no longer a sacrifice. It is a slow, enjoyable morning ritual. The psychology shifts entirely from restriction to optimization. You aren't punishing yourself, you are simply reallocating your energy because your environment has changed. This brings us to a second dimension, which is the unwinding of lifestyle inflation and status pressure. Let's look at another scenario. Let's say you're in your peak earning years, maybe your late 40s or early 50s. You get a promotion and now you have an extra $500 a month in disposable income. What usually happens here? You might upgrade the car. You might take slightly nicer vacations. You might buy clothes with recognizable logos. This is completely normal status pressure. You are surrounded by peers who are also upgrading their lives, and there is a deep, unspoken biological drive to signal to the group that you are doing okay. But let's fast forward to the day you stop working. The social landscape fundamentally changes. You're no longer navigating the subtle, competitive hierarchies of the office. The pressure to drive the right car, wear the right clothes, or live in the perfect zip code to impress people you barely like begins to evaporate. If you take that $500 a month that used to go toward keeping up appearances and you simply leave it in your portfolio, here is what happens. Over 5 or 10 years, without the constant drag of status spending, your portfolio retains a significantly higher baseline of capital. You're no longer fighting the constant social pressure to consume. This is where we see a massive shift in loss aversion. During your working years, you are terrified of losing your income. Your identity is tightly bound to your job title and your paycheck. But in retirement, your identity slowly detaches from what you do for a living. You become highly protective of your time and your peace rather than your status. The urge to spend money just to show people you have money disappears. If you look at broad data from institutions like the Federal Reserve regarding the distribution of household wealth, you see a fascinating trend. Wealth does not just peak at age 65 and immediately fall off a cliff. For many in the upper quintiles of financial preparation, net worth actually continues to climb well into their 70s and 80s. Why does this happen? It is partly due to a psychological blind spot we have called opportunity cost blindness. When you are working, your biggest financial asset is your future earning potential. You naturally focus all your mental energy on your career, your boss, and your next promotion. You are blind to the small inefficiencies in your finances because you simply do not have the bandwidth to look at them. But when you retire, your biggest asset is no longer your labor. It is your capital and your time. You suddenly have the mental space to optimize your investments. You have the time to research tax strategies, to manage your health in a way that prevents catastrophic medical bills later, and to optimize your spending. You transition from being an exhausted employee to being the full-time, clear-headed asset manager of your own life. Now, this is where it gets incredibly interesting and where the psychology of wealth really starts to shift. Let's walk through a third scenario to look at the plateau effect. Let's say you have hit a major milestone. You have $500,000 invested. You are maybe 5 or 10 years away from your target retirement date. This is the exact moment where burnout usually hits the hardest. You have been saving aggressively for decades. You have watched your budget, you have delayed gratification, and you are just deeply tired. The psychological weight of the almost there phase is crushing. During this phase, people often make mistakes. You might start taking on way too much risk to speed up the timeline because you just want to be done. Or conversely, you might start holding way too much cash because you are absolutely terrified of a market crash right before you cross the finish line. People will constantly tell you that once you hit $100,000, it is easy. That is a complete myth. The math might get slightly easier, but the psychology gets infinitely harder. The fear of losing your hard-earned progress can completely paralyze you. But then you actually do it. You cross the finish line. You retire. And a profound psychological shift occurs in how you view your money. The mental accounting changes. You realize that the money's no longer just a scoreboard proving your worth, it is simply a tool to buy your freedom. And because you are no longer desperately adding to the pile with your physical labor, you become hyper aware of how the pile needs to work for you. You might actually adjust your risk tolerance to a more balanced, sustainable level. Because you aren't panic saving anymore, the money finally has room to breathe. You stop obsessing over the daily market fluctuations because you realize you are playing a 30-year game, not a 30-day game. Most people don't realize this, but we all suffer from intense income anchoring. You base your entire sense of security on the recurring deposit that hits your checking account every 2 weeks. When that direct deposit permanently stops, it feels terrifying. It feels like stepping off a ledge in the dark. But over time, as the months pass and the sky doesn't fall, you adjust to a totally new anchor. You anchor to the stability of your assets. You stop viewing wealth entirely as income and you start viewing it as duration. The question changes from how much did I make this month to how many years of freedom does this represent? This shift in perspective is exactly why people continue to get richer. They stop optimizing for a high monthly income and start optimizing for longevity, efficiency, and peace of mind. The desperate short-term reward bias that drives so much of our consumer behavior fades away. You no longer need retail therapy because you no longer need therapy to recover from your job. Ultimately, the reason people often get richer after they stop working isn't just some hidden mathematical quirk of the financial markets. It is a fundamental unburdening of the human mind. You step out of the arena. You stop paying the hidden exorbitant taxes of exhaustion, status, and convenience. You reclaim the ultimate currency, which is your attention and your time, and you use that time to quietly defend and gently grow what you have already built. Retirement is not the end of your financial growth. For many people, it is the very first time your money actually gets to work without your own stress getting in its way. It is a transition from forced labor to intentional design. If you are watching this and you are currently feeling stuck in that messy middle phase, staring at an account balance that refuses to move as fast as you want it to, I want you to remember something important. The friction you are feeling right now, the exhaustion, the plateau, that is exactly what builds the foundation for the freedom that comes later. You are building the architecture that will eventually support you when you finally decide to stop. I would love to hear where you are financially right now. Are you stuck in that frustrating accumulation phase, or are you starting to see the psychological shift begin to happen? Leave a comment below. It genuinely helps to know you aren't the only one dealing with these invisible ceilings. If you found some value in this perspective, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Take care of yourself, and I will see you in the next one.